Nation. I'm Sierra Paul.
And I'm Donald Gibson. Welcome to this week's edition of the Hawkeye Live.
Our first story covers Brown Hall. It has come to the university's attention that Brown Hall is not handicap accessible.
Just Brown, it was everywhere on campus. There's a lot of places around campus that aren't handicap accessible, which is understandable considering they were built before the actual ADA law was made back in 19. I had a couple of foreign language classes over in that building, and both times it had to be moved over to the library because they were both on the third floor. But ULM and Karen Foster both worked with me, and Dr. Ruth Smith over at the foreign language department, she was able to help me get that class moved, and it was no problem whatsoever.
Breaks a leg or has a back injury or something, it's difficult. So what we typically do is, or we always do actually, is we move the class to another building. And on the surface, that's not a difficult thing to do.
As of now, Brown Hall is under renovation, but for other reasons.
Problems concerning break-ins on campus have some students concerned of safety issues. Our next story takes a closer look into the importance of not tailgating and the safety of students on campus. We now take it to our field reporter, Trey Hall, for a closer look.
ULM has gone through great lengths to ensure the safety of its students. But is it enough? We interviewed local ULM students just to find out how safe they felt.
You know, sitting in there watching some TV and had it on low, and all of a sudden somebody, popped open my door. Made me feel like fighting someone, that's for sure. Like, somebody comes in your space, you have to get that little pit bull mentality. Yeah, protect your own space.
Tailgating is when a student that lives in that building, they come in the building and someone's behind them and they let that person in and that person doesn't live there. That's a big safety precaution that we try to get them to not get.
As I stood out the shower, I came into my room. Normally I have my iPod, my iPhone 4 playing on my iPod dock, and I noticed it was missing. As soon as I knew it was missing, I called a friend and I got them to notify Apple, which put a lost and found on my iPhone 4. And from there, I looked outside and I noticed UPD was actually right outside my building. So from there, I ran outside, reported it lost and stolen, they took my information down, and within 30 minutes, they got my iPhone 4 back to me.
Resident assistants in ULM police departments are doing their part, but are students taking the necessary precautions? I'm Trey Hall, Hawkeye Live.
ULM police are doing their best to crack down on student safety and encourage students to do their best to prevent these problems from occurring.
Our final story takes a look at three prominent figures in the Monroe area. On February 21st, students, alumni, faculty, and residents of Monroe tuned in as model figures gave inspiring words. Before presenting the panel, Dr. Wayne Brumfield asked everyone to keep in mind the following questions. Who are you? Where do you come from? Where are you going? Who is going to take you where you want to go?
Identify what it is that you have a real interest in doing as a life's work, and what it is that you have the skills to accomplish that degree. One of the most frustrating things is for young people like you to try to live out somebody else's dream.
I is your image, and E is exposure. Now I'm not going to talk about them in order, but I make acronyms in IPE better than IPE, maybe you remember. But I want to talk about your image.
As mayor of the city, I talk a lot about working together, and I talk a lot about team, and I talk a lot about preparation. You've heard us all talk about how important hard work.
The briefing ended with an opportunity for anyone to ask any questions that they may have had. That's it for this week's edition of Hawkeye Live. I am Sierra Paul.
And I'm Donald Gibson. Be sure to pick up this week's and every week's edition of the Hawkeye newspaper.